Welcome back to the channel, guys. So you really seem to like that green, pretty dangerous, pretty rusty, but absolutely awesome Volvo 244 DL that my friend Jackman owns. He also owns one of these beautiful machines as well. And but in today's episode, we wanted to do a bit of a follow-up video. He's filmed some footage and I've spliced it together for you guys to see. You can really quite see how bad this car is. Most of the comments down there were like, oh my God, it shouldn't have an MOT. But the one big thing that was there is we're obviously all aware you shouldn't take things off on an MOT. A Tesla can't pull up carpets, they can't pull off trims. They can only see what they can see. They can't stick a screwdriver in there and start failing cars in that respect. They have to see, and if they're going to fail, it has to physically be there. This is our point with this car, guys. You didn't need to pull any of that stuff off. You didn't need to touch it. As Jackman points out in this video, there's quite a few horrors that are plain as day in your face. Sit back, relax, and you can actually see this car kind of take shape in the next few months if you would like. So he's filmed some footage now of the actual pure condition of this vehicle as he's got to it. So obviously it came as a complete driving car with an MOT. He started stripping it, working on it. He's wanted one of these for many years. I nearly bought this car, so we'd have a lot of metal work to do, and it's making this look really solid. So thank you, Jackman, for filming this footage. Sit back, relax, and enjoy, guys.
Welcome back to the Volvo 244. In the previous video you had a brief look at issues around an MOT and the state of the vehicle. It was mentioned that a lot of the things that were spotted the MOT tester wouldn't have been able to see due to carpets and other trim pieces being on the car and they can't remove them, but I'll go through and show things that could have been spotted by an MOT tester. So start off with the lights. As you can see, they're all there, and the lights and the horn, the wipers and the washer jets, they all work perfectly, so there's no problem with that. Around the engine bay itself you've got some rust in that corner, which is all just flaky rust from an area of the car which I'm not too sure where yet. And you go down and you see just corrosion on the chassis rail, and then more corrosion in this corner here where the headlights mount. Nothing there that I'd say would be cause concern on MOT. The car does run just about, and when it has run there is a smell of fuel from the engine bay, and that is from this fuel line. As you can see right here, it's split and actually leaks when it's running. So that's the state of the fuel line, and that's all the way down. So this line, which goes straight to the fuel pump, as you can see there, to me that should have been picked up on an MOT, that there is a fuel leak and that the rubber hose has severely perished. As for all the brake lines and clutch lines, they have, looks like, not been done too long ago, because the clutch line is nice and shiny still, and then the brake lines look clean as well. The rest of the engine bay, nothing too special going on. The wing itself is cosmetic, so you go around, you can see you've got a hole through that, but it's all cosmetic really. Down here it's self-tapped into the sill, but all cosmetic. However, it's been off in the past, and if you look here, all the bolts are missing from it. So they've been snapped off into the wing itself. So I don't actually know what's holding this wing on apart from the two nuts at the top. It might just be that. So moving into the car itself, most of the things that were shown, like all this rust here and the same around the front, yes, that would have been hidden by a carpet. So that wouldn't have been picked up on the MOT. But you look around, and over in that corner, that's a hole straight through to the floor. I've not made that hole, that was already there. So an MOT tester under the car should have spotted that. And then around the back, with all the, there's trim all in it still, but you can see the rust repairs and the holes that go through to the wheel well. Now, I've made those slightly bigger during my investigations, but the holes are already there. And all I've done is enlarge them to find out where they went to and their extent. And you've got the same problems with the cell on this side around the seatbelt anchor. Should have mentioned on the interior side of things, it's a windscreen. So you can see on that corner, it's delaminated. It's done it on the passenger side quite severely, but if you go to the driver's side, it has started and it goes all the way around the top as well into there. But for the actual driver's vision, from the actual screen itself, there's no cracks or anything in that side. So that's, I think from the MOT, it's mainly vision impaired for the driver rather than a passenger. Moving on to the front, there's a lot of surface corrosion across the front cross member. You can see it flakes off, but it is solid, but there is a lot of surface corrosion. It goes around here, you can see it continues up into the bumper mount, and then going back you've got all the chassis rail is the same. The rubber boots themselves on like all the joints, they're actually in remarkable condition. There is a slight oil leak from the engine, but that doesn't actually get to the ground. And this side, the rubber bushes and everything is the same. It's just corroded on all the suspension mounts and everything like that. Moving on to the underside of the car, you can see bottom of the doors, cosmetic. These arches, they're bad, but they're actually MOT style. They're solid. They're just, like you see, tatty there. Didn't take me much to break that. Going along to the emissions and the exhaust side, this is the state of the exhaust. So there's a hole right through it there, and then you go to this side and there's another hole in the exhaust back box. But when you go underneath the car, so that exhaust mounts here on those two bobbins, and if you go a tiny bit further back, there is a hole straight through to the rear seats. Now that's not meant to be for a rubber bung, that's corrosion. So the exhaust gases would have been leaking out of that back box and into the car. And then if you look at the rest of the component, you can see there's a lot of dirt and surface corrosion on them, but they seem solid. There is new brake lines on that side, and the actual metal lines themselves are covered in grease, so if an MOT tester looked at that, they'd most probably flagged up covered in grease, so they can't check. As for the floors, on here you've got very poorly welded and attached mount for the jacking point. You can see all these MIG welding wires coming through, and it's not actually fully attached in places. But when you move them back, you can see all the patches. Sorry, a bit close. And that goes the full length of the floor. This one's not too easy to see, so let's try. Here we go. There's two more holes through the floor pan, and that again is right next to the chassis rail and suspension components. So right there is the wheel and the shock and the spring. There's the chassis rail that goes down and round, and there's rust holes straight through. So this is the driver's rear wheel arch. You can see there's a hole straight through into the cabin. That's where the rear seat is, and moving down here there's a lot of corrosion. Sorry, the light's not the best here, where it actually joins to the sill, so that's all corroded. You can see on the floor from me touching it. That's from today. I'm just trying to find things for the video. That's the condition of that. Not needed to attack it with any sort of screwdriver. That's just how the car's flaking off. You go round and back in here. See here, very dark, but this part is the same on the other side, where they've patched where the chassis rail is, and then that goes all the way down to the bottom corner. And on the outside there should be a panel here. I'll send Mark some video to attach, but from about here all the way down and rounded up was made out of filler and was basically hanging on with no sort of structure left on it. So if you'd been down a really rough road, there's a good chance that on both sides it would have fallen out. Moving to the driver's side wheel arch, can't really get camera in here too well, but if you look here, that's a hole straight through into the body. We go further up, there is another one straight through, and that might actually be where all the rust's from in the engine bay. Now I think about it, because it definitely feels like it. We'll skip that bit. Around the shock towers and the likes, just looks like it needs cleaning up and retreating. Springs got corrosion on it, but it's all there. It doesn't seem to be broken. And then moving down, you can see more of the corrosion on the suspension components. This here is the mud flap bracket.
So what did you all think to that? Pretty horrific, isn't it? Yeah, it's not the best. So the 244 is going to get saved. It's within our classic car community now. It's going to get loved. It's not going to get any more dodgy MOTs. I think Jackman's going to start mods. I think it might get a few mods. I think it should have some bits doing, maybe some banded steel wheels, a few engine tweaks. There's a few things we're tossing around in a WhatsApp chat. So see what happens in the future, guys. Jackman has offered to keep filming his footage. So yeah, we'll keep this car coming to the channel if you really want to. I will go around as soon as I possibly can and try and do a bit of work with him on it, because I really want to get stuck into this car. And it'd be nice to see it back on the road. Got the Amazon, we've got the 940. It'd be nice to have a 200 series within the Simpsons Classics group, shall we say, or fleet / sub-fleet. It's not my car, but we're involved with it, which is cool. And I like things like that. It's nice to be involved, help your mates out and get cars on the road. But Jackman is really, really good at fabrication. You can see what he's already done at the back of it, and he's made an excellent job so far. So get in the comments, guys. What do you think? Would you like to see more on this car? Would you like to see some of the work that he's doing? He can smash the time lapse on and he can show you bits and bobs that he's up to on it. It's got a lot of reconstruction to do. A lot of these panels aren't available for this car. I think you can buy seals, you can buy arches. He's bought a lot of stuff from Brookhouse Volvo, awesome company. So you haven't found them, if you've got your Volvo, go and check them out. Really, really good company. All the bits I bought for this car have come from Brookhouse. So yeah, good place to go and find all your bits and bobs to your cars, guys. And they got some stuff that you wouldn't think you can actually buy. Like, you wouldn't expect to be able to buy a whole new wiring for these. You can, albeit Volvo parts, especially classic Volvo parts, are not cheap. So it is one of them. There are a labour of love Volvos. You either hate them, you either love them, or you hate them. But it's one of them. Remember to subscribe to the channel, guys. Give this video a thumbs up. Like I say, drop in the comments. Go and check out both our sponsors. We've got Minimine, we're here for your classic minis, and we have Frost Restoration for your parts, for all your tooling consumables. Oh, I've done this enough times, shouldn't I? Really, shouldn't I? But yeah, catch you next one, guys. And yeah, we'll keep some 244 update if you're really interested. Catch you soon.